I found out my wife of 15 years was cheating on me with her high school sweetheart. I never thought I would be the guy posting here, but life has a way of blindsiding you when you least expect it. I've been married to my wife, Lisa, 41F, for 15 years, and I, 44M, thought we had a solid, stable marriage. We have 2 kids together, Alex, 13M, and Grace, 10F, and up until recently, I believed we were a happy family. I mean, we weren't perfect, but we had a good life, or so I thought. What I found out over the past few months has completely turned my world upside down. My wife has been cheating on me with her ex-boyfriend, Greg. The betrayal feels like a stab to the heart, and I'm not sure how to even process everything that's happened. So, I'm here to tell my story and maybe get some advice on how to move forward. Lisa and I met in college 18 years ago. She was everything I wanted in a partner. Smart, funny, caring, and beautiful. We clicked almost immediately, and after a couple of years of dating, we got married. Our early years were a mix of excitement, new experiences, and building a life together. Like any marriage, we had our ups and downs, but overall, we worked well as a team. We bought a house, both had decent jobs, and eventually started a family. Alex and Grace became the center of our world. I always thought of Lisa as a devoted mother and wife, and I tried my best to be a good husband. We would take family vacations, spend weekends together, and even had our little routines like date nights every few weeks and family movie nights with the kids. But looking back now, I wonder if I was just naive, if I missed the signs or ignored them because I didn't want to see what was right in front of me. About 6 months ago, I started noticing small changes in Lisa's behavior. It wasn't anything dramatic, but enough to make me feel a little uneasy. She started spending more time on her phone, often laughing or smiling at messages she'd receive late at night. When I'd ask her about it, she'd just say it was her friends from work or her sister. She also started going out more, meeting up with friends for drinks or dinners, something she hadn't done regularly in years. At first, I didn't think much of it. I figured she was just trying to have more of a social life, and that's a good thing, right? But then, she started coming home later and later, and when I'd ask her how her night was, she'd give vague answers or change the subject. One night, I asked her directly, "Is everything okay? You've been acting distant lately." She brushed me off, saying she was just stressed from work and needed to blow off some steam. I didn't push her on it, but the feeling of unease lingered. I should have trusted my gut. I didn't want to be the paranoid husband, and I trusted Lisa. We had 15 years together. After all, why would I suspect anything? I knew about Greg. He was Lisa's ex-boyfriend from high school, the guy she had dated for a few years before we met in college. She had told me about him early in our relationship, and from what I gathered, their breakup was mutual, and they had gone their separate ways. It never seemed like a big deal, just a part of her past that didn't concern me. But about 4 months ago, Lisa mentioned in passing that she had reconnected with Greg on Facebook. It was a casual comment, something like, "Oh, I saw Greg on Facebook the other day. He's back in town and doing well." I didn't think much of it at the time. People reconnect with old friends all the time, right? Over the next few weeks, though, she mentioned him more and more. She'd talk about how they'd run into each other at a coffee shop or how they had caught up on the phone about old times. I'll admit, it made me a little uncomfortable, but I trusted her. I never imagined she would cross any boundaries with him. But then, the late-night texts started. At first, I assumed they were from her friends or co-workers, but then I saw his name pop up on her phone screen one evening while we were watching TV. I didn't say anything at the time, but I could feel the doubt creeping in. Why was she texting her ex-boyfriend at 11 p.m.? Fast forward to about 2 months ago. That's when everything came crashing down. Lisa had been going out more frequently, telling me she was meeting up with her friends or going to work events. One Friday night, she told me she was going out for drinks with some friends from work and wouldn't be home until late. I stayed home with the kids, put them to bed, and then waited for her to come home. By midnight, she still wasn't back. I texted her to see if everything was okay, and she replied, "Just having a great time. Won't be home until late." Don't wait up. Something in that message felt off. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the casual tone, or maybe it was just my growing suspicion, but I decided to do something I never thought I'd do. I checked her location using the Find My iPhone feature we had set up for emergencies. She wasn't at the restaurant she said she'd be at. In fact, she wasn't anywhere near it. Her location showed that she was at a hotel across town. I remember feeling a cold wave of dread wash over me. My hands were shaking as I stared at the screen, trying to convince myself there had to be some explanation. Maybe she had met up with her friends there, or maybe there was some kind of mistake. But deep down, I knew. I waited until 2 a.m. when she finally came home. She smelled like alcohol, her makeup was smudged, and she was giggling like a schoolgirl. I asked her how her night was, and she gave me the same vague answer she'd been giving me for months. But this time I couldn't hold it in. "Were you at a hotel tonight?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Her face went pale. For a split second, I saw the panic in her eyes before she quickly recovered and said, "What are you talking about?" "No, I was with my friends." "I checked your location," I said, my voice shaking now. "You weren't at the restaurant. You were at a hotel. Who were you with?" She stared at me, and for the longest time, she didn't say anything. Then, she broke down in tears. Lisa admitted everything. She had reconnected with Greg months ago, and what started as casual conversations quickly escalated into something more. They had been meeting up behind my back for months, lunches, drinks, and eventually hotel rooms. She told me she never meant for it to go this far, that it just happened, and she didn't know how to stop it. I sat there in shock as she told me about the affair. My mind was racing, trying to process everything she was saying. This was my wife, the woman I had built a life with, the mother of my children. How could she do this to me? To us? "I'm sorry," she kept saying through her tears. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I never wanted this to happen. But it did happen." She had betrayed me in the worst way possible. And the worst part? She didn't stop it. She let it continue for months, all while lying to my face, to our kids, to everyone. I couldn't listen to her apologies anymore. I told her to leave. I couldn't even look at her. She packed a bag and left the house that night. The weeks after the confession were a blur of anger, sadness, and confusion. I barely slept, barely ate, and I couldn't focus at work. All I could think about was the betrayal, the lies, the sneaking around, the intimacy she had shared with someone else. I kept asking myself why. Why did she do it? Was I not enough for her? Did she fall out of love with me? Or was it just about the thrill of reconnecting with someone from her past? I didn't have any answers, and every time I tried to talk to Lisa about it, all she could say was, "I'm sorry, and I never meant for it to happen." But that wasn't enough. I needed to understand how she could throw away 15 years of marriage, of trust, for someone who was part of her past. The hardest part was pretending everything was normal for the kids. Alex and Grace didn't know what was going on, and I didn't want to burden them with the details of their mother's betrayal. So, I put on a brave face and tried to keep things as normal as possible for them. Lisa moved in with her sister for a while, and we agreed to take some time apart to figure out what to do next. I didn't know if I wanted to work things out or if I was ready to walk away from the marriage. Part of me still loved her. She was the mother of my children, after all, but the pain of her betrayal was too fresh, too raw. Eventually, we had to tell the kids something. They were starting to notice that their mom wasn't around as much, and they were asking questions. We sat them down one evening and told them that their mom was staying with her sister for a while because we were going through a tough time. We didn't go into details about the affair. There's no way I was going to burden them with that, but we explained that we were trying to figure things out. They took the news surprisingly well, but I could tell they were confused and worried. It broke my heart to see them hurting because of something that had nothing to do with them. They didn't deserve this. It's been a few months since I found out about the affair, and things are still uncertain. Lisa and I are technically still married, but we're living separately. We've had a few counseling sessions, but I'm not sure if it's helping. The trust is gone, and I don't know if it's something we can ever rebuild. There are moments when I think we can work through this, that maybe we can come out of it stronger. But then there are other times when I feel like I'll never be able to look at her the same way again. The image of her sneaking around with Greg is burned into my mind, and I don't know how to erase it. I'm not sure what the future holds. Part of me wants to fight for the marriage, for the family we built together. But another part of me wonders if it's even worth it. Can I ever truly forgive her? Can I ever trust her again? I don't have the answers yet, but I'm trying to take it one day at a time. For now, I'm focusing on being the best dad I can be to Alex and Grace. They're the ones who matter most in all of this, and I refuse to let Lisa's betrayal take away from my relationship with them. As for Lisa and Greg, well, I don't know what's going on between them. She claims it's over, that she wants to work things out with me, but I can't help but wonder if she's still in contact with him. I guess only time will tell. Thanks for listening, Reddit. Any advice or support would be appreciated, because right now, I'm feeling pretty lost. Subscribe and like for more videos.